almost ready to retire. Okay, we should be getting going here. There we go. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and potential Toastmasters. Welcome to the show today. This is Wake Up with Toastmasters. I am your District 115 Club Growth Director for another week or so. Then you'll be seeing a new face. On Thursdays, Scott Transu is the new incoming Club Growth Director, and he will be here with Phyllis on Thursdays. I will be joining you on Tuesdays. So welcome to the show. How you doing this morning, Phyllis?
Good morning, Ken. I am sensational. Hello, everybody out there. I hope you're having a good day. Oh, I see Ken's looking at our Facebook page. We're
finally,
so
yeah.
Please send us a comment. Say hello at least.
Absolutely, because it looks like we're all set now. Everything is working the way it's intended. I don't know what I was doing last week, but I kept having trouble with the audio because I would get spillover and then there's a lag, and that was just really tough. So anyway, today, Phyllis, we're going to be talking about something. Going into the new year, I learned that what TI is looking for, if you are interested in becoming a distinguished Toastmaster, is they want to see that you have been a club officer, of course, and something new, that you have participated in the development of a club success plan. And I know the area directors are being asked to look at the club success plan, help their clubs as needed. So part of that process really involves moments of truth. Because if you're going to do a club success plan, once you've got either you can have your committee, you can have your executive committee do it. Smaller clubs may have everybody involved in putting together a club success plan. But one of the things that is most helpful to get you started is to use moments of truth as sort of an analytical tool to establish where we are and how we're doing. And then you can add to that your year-end Distinguished Club program status. For example, we would be in my home club distinguished this year, but we did not meet the membership requirement. That's where the challenge has come in for a lot of clubs this year. So I think starting your year by reviewing moments of truth, putting together a club success plan will help you and your club to focus. So we're going to look today and revisit the Moments of Truth program. This is one of my favorites because I think it does, sometimes, I don't know how you feel, Phyllis, but sometimes I think we get complacent. And we need to never let that happen. We need to always try and interject. We were talking last week, a fresh perspective into our clubs. So, of course, I've got the PowerPoint.
well, of course, but you're right. We do get complacent and our ideas change as to what we would like to have happen in our club. And this is a good way to be able to have every member in the club express their opinions.
Exactly. Let's see if I can get this working here. There we go. Now, how do you like to use this comes from the Successful Club series, by the way, and all of the tools that you need to conduct the Moments of Truth program, you can download from TI. Tell me, Phyllis, what's your preferred way to use this program?
I think I just start at the top and go all the way through and have like a group discussion. So I don't think that this is something that can be done at one meeting. You just go as far as you can go. And if you need more time, then the speaking time is all given to this project. I've had Guy Dawson do this project once, and it was like a three-parter because we discussed each and every line. Everybody got to give a comment about how they thought we should change or we shouldn't change, why we were in good shape. This total discussion. And I think that's part of what Moments of Truth is that the club members learn how other people in the group see the situation, or, like the guest thing. We always want to do a great job with guests, and this really goes into detail about it. The PowerPoint is really super nice if you're on Zoom and have that available. It's not always that great when you're in person, but there also are things, I believe, in this PowerPoint at the end where you can take a poll in the club where they get to mark how they feel about each item that's in the Moments of Truth. If not, further along. I know there is one.
I'm so glad you brought that up because we're actually going to look at that. And
okay.
There are a couple of handouts that go along with this, and there's an opportunity. It's sort of like a workbook, opportunity to evaluate how well you think your club is doing with the Moments of Truth. And then if you're less than a certain score, what is it we need to do better? So let's get right into it here. So a moment of truth, I'll just paraphrase this. It's anytime you have a member of the public come in contact with your club, they're going to form an impression. And whether it's a returning member or say someone who moved cross country or a brand new person who's never been to Toastmasters before, you're going to make an impression. And those particular contacts are decisive times when people form that impression. You've heard the old expression, you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Yes.
And how that first impression comes across in a club meeting can determine your success as a club and whether or not potential members become actual members. So that's a moment of truth when where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. So let's take a look. They identify key interactions and activities that contribute to the success. We're going to look at the benchmarks, if you will, that we all should be striving for in a moment. But this just further fleshes out what those moments look like. They're key interactions and activities. If you have an open house, for example, or anytime you have a visitor or a special event that you're interacting more in a recruitment phase or a open to the public phase, that's a moment of truth. You could also look at that as a tool, and it helps your club to achieve and sustain a level of quality. And you do that through sort of a self-evaluation and then recommendations that aren't necessarily coming from the outside, they're coming from your own club. This is your chance, as we discussed, for your members to see a worksheet and to do a self-evaluation and then make recommendations for improvement focused on the concepts that we're going to share here in a moment, embodied in those moments of truth. So each moment represents an opportunity for the club to create a positive impression. If someone visits your club and they are positively impressed with what's going on, if your club your meetings are organized, they're well run, they can see an example of what a Toastmasters meeting is like, then that's most likely to create a positive impression. On the other hand, if your meetings are chaotic, you don't start on time, you don't do some of the things we're going to look at here in a moment to make a positive first impression, you're not going to be as successful as you could be in recruiting new club members. So What then are the characteristics of a high quality club? Because that's what we all want to be, right? We want to be a high quality club. And one of the first things we need to do is make sure that we not only encourage member achievement, but we celebrate member achievement. In your clubs, Phyllis, what are some of the ways that you celebrate when a member reaches, say, they've completed a level 2 or a level 1 or a level 3, whatever it might be? What's a good way to celebrate that achievement?
Well, we do a lot of talk. Our president is out of the city. She's in Reno, and she usually leads all the encouragement and achievements that happen. And sometimes you might think that it has to be big, but we have one member that's just trying to speak. If she can go full 5 minutes, that's great. You know, it's like a big achievement for her that she didn't just quit in the middle of a speech. And so all the hoorays you can give her are, needed. We have another one that did, I think, 28 seconds on her first table topics. And when she can go a whole minute and a half on table topics, every time she gets a little bit further along, she gets applause. She gets told that she's doing great. Calmness in speaking and being able to just keep your mouth moving is an art that you learn later on. So for our members, it's the small achievements, not necessarily levels. Yes, we like to mention it, talk about, that they've achieved a new level, or one of our gals has achieved level 5 in humorous. So yeah, those are big things, but we like to push the little things that mean so much to people.
I'm so glad you said that, because you're absolutely right. For some folks who join Toastmasters, and we've had members like that, it's just being able to speak for 28 seconds or 30 seconds or even 1 minute. And that is an accomplishment to be celebrated. It doesn't have to be, as I indicated, a level 1 or a level 2 or whatever. It's the small steps that lead toward success that you want to celebrate along the way. So I'm really glad you brought that up. Another characteristic of a high quality club, and we talked about this the other day with Diane Hunter, is provide a supportive and fun environment. Some meetings, I think, are too stodgy. They're too formal. I don't mean to suggest that you should always, push the fun element, but if you're going to have a fun meeting, then I think people are going to be more involved. They're going to be more engaged. If they don't get some enjoyment out of a meeting, they're probably not going to be members very long. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I believe we all have a list of protocol, and we like to follow the protocol, but it's no big bug if we don't. If something doesn't happen the way it's supposed to, if we're supposed to have this introduction or this, it's like we can rearrange the meeting. It doesn't all have to be set in stone. And it's like when you're supportive, you're relaxed and you let things happen that happen, and then try and do the protocol, but doesn't necessarily mean that you can't have fun and you can't be relaxed. I'm just not real sure that I really approve of stopping a meeting because it's not going the way it's supposed to, in your opinion. Yes, if the person is new and needs to be instructed, then they always can stop. But I feel like you go on and you correct it after the meeting.
Well, and I think the other part of that, and maybe we'll talk about this on Thursday, is good mentoring. If you have a mentor who's engaged with the mentee and talking to them about, well, now tomorrow is going to be your first time as Toastmaster. Let's review some key points. I think that helps tremendously. Another thing is offers a professionally organized meeting with variety. We talked about the fact that, we have the three components of a meeting: the prepared speech, the table topics, impromptu speaking, and then the evaluation. That's professionally organized, but there's a whole lot of variety that you can inject into your meeting and still stay within that structure that constitutes a professionally run meeting and an organized meeting. And we'll talk about some of those things in just a moment. I love this one. Club officers are trained in all aspects of club quality. The reason I like this is, we've got TLI coming up. In fact, this Saturday is the in-person TLI. And some of the things we're going to be talking about relate to club quality. I'm going to be talking about developing a club success plan, for example, and that is related to club quality. The moments of truth is related to club quality. So one of the things that I sort of have a beef with TI is they say, you meet the criteria if you have 4 officers trained. No, I want all officers trained. I think it's important that all club officers make that commitment to be trained through the TLI program, because I think that's important for all aspects of club quality. And then it's something that you can use as a guide, as we're going to talk about with the club success plan. That becomes your guide. Any thoughts on that, fellas?
Well, you're right. We need them all trained. But the Distinguished Club program works. And if you were to ask for 100% on every item listed there, not many people would reach the goal. And we want as many people or as many clubs as possible to reach distinguished, because it's a good feeling. So I would say, yes, we want 100% trained, but let's not change the DCP.
No, and I guess you're right there. We need to keep it where it is, but we need to encourage, and I think that's what we did last year. We had an incentive, and a lot of clubs did reach that incentive where if you got 100% of your officers trained, then your club received a special gift. I think we had the packets we got from TI, things like word of the day packets, table topics packets, that kind of thing. Was really good.
Excellent way to get everybody trained.
Exactly, and we had a large, I don't remember the exact number, but it was a large number. And this is something that I know is near and dear to your heart, but members have access to a formal mentoring program. All of us who have the DTM after our name, or even those who've been in Toastmasters for a while, I think we have an obligation to serve as a mentor, to help the younger, newer Toastmasters. And younger, I don't mean by age, I guess you should say less senior, less experienced Toastmasters.
Seasoned is the word.
Less seasoned. But I think we have an obligation to serve as a mentor. And I know this is something near and dear to your heart. And maybe we should talk more about mentoring at our next session on Thursday. What do you think?
Yeah, well, of course, always. Somebody taught you, somebody helped you. And people don't realize that the minute you open your mouth to give an idea, you're mentoring, you're helping someone else. And that's the name of the game.
Yeah, I feel like
and you give.
Exactly. I feel like when I joined Toastmasters, I didn't have one mentor. I had about 10, and it was great.
Yeah, even today, there are things that I go into, and no, I don't need the things that I've already done. I can mentor on those. But if I'm doing something new, then I may pick several people that have done it before and are willing to help. And
And
most people are willing, you just have to ask.
and what I've noticed is that once you start developing that relationship and give your mentee the basics, they just sail. They just take off, and they always know they can come back to you if they need it. And of course, we want to make sure that we do evaluations. That's one of the cornerstones of being in a Toastmasters. Having set evaluations that are written evaluations and verbal evaluations that are presented in a supportive environment, that's what helps you. And things like the counter, because I've been a Toastmaster for a long time. I've competed, but still I have ahs and ums and filler words, and I appreciate the evaluations that I get because they do help you to grow. And then of course we're motivated. There's a lot of, I've studied motivation. We've talked about ways to motivate people, and there are ways to help nudge folks along. But I think the most highly motivated people actually motivate themselves. I mean, I was motivated to come to Toastmasters. I said, I really need to improve my public speaking skills. I really didn't think about my leadership skills. That's kind of a bonus. But those people who are self-motivated are the ones that I found seem to have the most determination for the long haul. Would you agree with that, Phyllis? Is that your observation as well?
I think so. But sometimes in Toastmasters, goals are reached, but you don't even know. People encourage you to give more speeches, and all of a sudden, you've got another level, and you just didn't realize that it was happening. They only encourage you to do speeches, but the speeches add up to levels, and then the next level. And it was like when I reached a level where I could get DTM, I had no clue that I was even close. Until somebody, never said, well, you should do this. But it happens. You just keep giving speeches, and that's the encouragement. Speak, and then all of a sudden these great things start happening to you.
Exactly. And the leadership skills that you develop are sometimes developed in a subtle way.
Yeah.
When you are serving as Toastmaster or Topics Master, General Evaluator, you are assuming a leadership role. And sometimes without even realizing it, you develop those skills. Okay, we're going to get into it now. I see that we're running a little bit short on time, but I want to go over these.
Of course we are.
Of course we are. I want to go over these real quickly, and then I want to show folks the workbook. And all of this, again, reminding folks, you can download it from TI, so it's easily accessible. First impressions, we talked a little bit about that. Membership orientation. Does your club orient new members appropriately? We do have a district orientation program on the second Saturday of every month. I teach that class, new member orientation, and it's not intended to replace the club's program, but to supplement it. If you want to get them into that class, it's free, 6 p.m. every second Saturday of the month. Fellowship, variety and communication goes back again to what we were talking about, making sure that your meetings are friendly, professional, and fun. Those things are not mutually exclusive. You can have them in a meeting that you have program planning and meeting organization. Good organization. The meeting should start on time and end on time. And we should talk about when we have guests, why is it important to time our speeches, our table topics? Why is it important to stay in that? Well, those are skills that you develop that are directly translatable into the, quote, real world outside of Toastmasters. So, and it's important that you learn how to be organized and to keep the meetings going on time. Membership strength. This is the one that's really hard, Phyllis. I think it has been, at least over the past couple of years, to keep our membership up. If your membership falls below 20, Now I know 8 is the mark where you're in good standing if you're 8 or more, but in reality, you really need to shoot for 20 or more. Because when you have that level of participation in your club, then everyone has an opportunity. You don't have the same people doing the same role over and over again. So getting your membership strength is an important metric for measuring not only within the moments of truth, but within the DCP. We talked about achievement recognition. That's another aspect of your club that we really need to make sure, whoops, sorry, didn't mean to hit that, that we need to make sure that we are doing, and not just those, I think of those awarded achievements like the levels, but also the little steps that you and I discussed about getting from point A to point B, just getting to 30-second speech. I'm going to pull up now. I wanted folks to be able to look at the tool that goes with this. These are handouts, so I'm going to share this real briefly here. I know we're running behind, of course. It's when we get into all these great discussions, you're just like, but for our viewers, all of these materials, this is item 290H. It's a little handout / workbook, if you will, about 8 pages long. And it examines all of the standards that we just looked at, first impressions. And you can see here, I hope everyone, let's see, can I make that bigger? Let me make that a little bigger.
I can read it.
Can you? Okay, I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. There we go. And you can see there's a scale from 1 to 5. Either we never meet this standard. This is the club members themselves evaluating how well they do. We rarely meet the standard. We sometimes meet the standard. We usually meet the standard, or the best case scenario, we always meet this standard. So here are the standards that come from first impressions. Guests are greeted warmly. You have a guest book with name tags, convenient location. Guests are invited to speak or address the club, and they're invited to join. And each of the items that we just discussed in the PowerPoint is reviewed, and you have an opportunity to evaluate your club on that 1 to 5 scale, with 5 being the best, on each of these metrics. And that way you come up with a measure of how well you're doing. And for those items that have a value of 3 or less, let's say, on average, after you add everything together and calculate it, they provide you, see, here you go. This is the second part of this. Okay, now we've evaluated ourselves. Let's add things up. Why do we have something that's rated 3 or less or lower? What is the cause for that score? Why did we give ourselves that score? And what can we do to make it better? So what I like about moments of truth, and I'll shut up here in just a second, is the fact that it's you learn something about your club, you evaluate your club, and then you develop a plan to address your concerns. What are your thoughts on this that you'd like to add, Phyllis?
Well, Toastmasters International recommends that we present moments of truth once a year in our clubs. And it doesn't have to be a senior member. Any member of the club can present this. And if you're waiting for somebody else to do it, maybe it's time you personally stepped up and presented moments of truth. But if it's not presented, that doesn't mean you cannot download it and answer the questions for yourself. See what you feel is happening in your club. And can you suggest anything, maybe add a educational minute that might improve the membership in your club or get you more members, I mean by that. So don't look at it as though somebody else has to do it. You're the person. take it on.
Exactly. And say to your VPE or who's usually in charge of scheduling, we need to do this, and then take advantage of all the TI has to offer to make that program. For example, one of the things that we didn't bring up is a Moments of Truth chart. You can download it, print it out, and it gives you those moments of truth. So hand that out to your members so they always have a quick, ready reference. And they can stop and ask themselves, oh, am I meeting this standard? Am I presenting my club in the best light? So Moments of Truth is something that I think you're right, all clubs should be using at least once a year. And it goes hand in hand with the development of a club success plan, which we'll talk about in a future meeting. Anything you'd like to say before we sign off for the day, Phyllis? We're at 6:30.
Well, another great one is the club quality checklist, another freebie from Toastmasters International. And it's similar to this, only it's for personal use. And you do have a long list, just like in the Moments of Truth. And you can check to see whether or not your club is meeting standards.
Yeah, I
And
know.
you can do to improve it.
Yes, indeed. And I know a lot of folks have struggled with the website here of late. The most recent upgrade has caused some hiccups along the way. But we've talked before about how important it is to just go exploring. And when you do that, that's when you discover a lot of these hidden gems that we've tried to bring to light over the last year or so in the TI website. So absolutely, there's lots of opportunities to grow and learn. Moments of Truth and the Club Success Plan are just one of them. Want to remind folks that we do have our TLI, our in-person TLI. That'll be this Saturday, the 25th, starting at 8 a.m. at the LDS Church, 5160 Lone Mountain Road. If you have any questions, shoot me an email and I'll be glad to help you out. We will also have an online. It's a full TLI online on July 9th. That's a Saturday. It's in lieu of our educational enrichment night, although we do have a couple of programs that I'm really excited about. Sherry Parker is going to be presenting Creating a Quality Club that we've been talking about here. And Nadia Gilks is going to be showing folks how to do a club success plan and how it relates to the Distinguished Club program. So if you can't make the in-person, please make sure that you attend the online TLI on July 9th. Anything you want to say to wrap us up here, Phyllis?
It's up to you.
It's up to all of us indeed to make our clubs and Toastmasters the best we can be. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you again on Thursday. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.